you guys can go ahead and move, the quartet can move into place, and then we'll get into position everybody else for imagination. It's wonderful. I'd like to thank you all so much for coming out. This is the first time, this is the 5th year that we've had the Youth Trombone Choir here at Winthrop. And I know that sometimes in this hall, with this setup for the mic, it is challenging for me to speak slowly enough for the words to bounce around the space. So I'll try to do my best. We've got a quartet up next that's going to do an arrangement of the classic American tune, American Patrol. I will say less and let them do more. Expose them to a little bit of things in the trombone world that are much larger than just our area. So if you listen to this arrangement of Imagination, which is by the Capitol Bones out of Washington, D.C., and it was funny, the only recording, they never recorded it on one of their albums. The only recording that I could find was an old video from when I was an undergraduate student that they had put this together back in the early 2000s. So we hope you enjoy this version of Imagination. So next we're going to hear from another quartet. This is a version of Mendelssohn. It was arranged by Glenn Smith. So like I mentioned before, sorry, I got to slow down just a little bit, my speech got. You guys can go ahead and get in place for Ave Maria from Vespers and Rachmaninoff. So the next one is arranged by Glenn Smith. And Glenn Smith was a legend in the trombone world. He played principal trombone in the Philadelphia Orchestra for a number of years and taught at the prestigious Curtis Music Institute. So getting to bring some students in these kind of arrangements is a lot of fun for me. So, yeah. Darsh, just move forward a little bit. You're good. Cool. You can't win. This is true. These two know each other pretty well, so it's good. All right, I'll turn it over to you guys. Take it away. Nice work. All right, so the next one's going to be a full choir tune. We're going to do Sergei Rachmaninoff's Ave Maria from his Vespers. This one was arranged by Jonathan Whitaker, who is another big name in the trombone world. He teaches now at the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign and taught for a number of years at Alabama. It's a really nice chorale arrangement, showcasing hopefully, the pretty sounds that the trombone can make. So when we initially had quartets, y'all can go ahead and move for Hallelujah. When we initially had quartets, and you'll see why I'm going to do a show of hands in a minute, I was part of a commissioning project, and I recorded an album with the Carolina Trombone Project. And we recorded this next piece on that album with a full trombone choir. But to my knowledge, it's never been done as a sextet, which is what it was originally written for. It's just 6 players. So I have a recent graduate who is now, he was giving me a hard time. I listed him on the program as a Winthrop student, and I should have listed him as a Winthrop alumni. So, and he is going to, in the fall, be the band director, assistant band director at Springfield Middle School. But Mr. Will Shillington is going to join us in on this one, and I'm going to actually play on this one a little bit. I'd like to just have a show of hands of the people on the stage. Okay, can y'all guys hear me okay? I know it's hard to understand, a little bit vaguely. You can tell that I'm talking. Okay, that's fair. How many of you made the region band? Made the region band? Yeah? Awesome, okay, cool, go ahead and sing. How many of you made the call back for Allstate? Made a call back for Allstate. Okay, that's great, good. How many of you made the Allstate band? That's great. All right, good. Okay, so I'm a little proud of this moment, and I don't do all the teaching, so they've got great band directors, they've got great lesson teachers at home. But all right, if you were first in the state, will you raise your hand? Matthew, you gotta raise your hand. There you go. Okay, thank you. You didn't want to raise it. Good. If you were second in the state, we raised your hand. Yeah. If you were third in the state, we raised your hand. Good. And then I think I'm right. I didn't look at the rosters recently, but sixth, right? Sixth in the state. Yeah, both. Yeah. So just a great thing. Give all these kids a massive. It used to be for the longest time that the Charleston area schools had the top in the region band in the trombone world, and I think we've dethroned them this year. I feel really proud of you guys for that. I didn't plan those, so I can't really take any credit for it. So it's good. It's all their work. But we're going to do 3 movements of Acts and Dreams. They're all pretty distinct. If you'll hold your applause between, and I'm going to move the mic a little bit out of the way too. Get spread out. privilege. We had the top 3 tenor players in the state getting to do something together. That's a lot of fun. That's a lot of good things. So, what we got next? Oh, yes. So next is Hallelujah. This is the Pentatonix arranged again for trombone choir. So I hope you enjoy it. Some of the students, not to mention any names, had never heard the tune, so we listened to it. That was a fun experience. There was a little bit of like a counting issue. I was like, do you not know this? Like, I've never heard this. Like, okay, well, let's go listen to it. So a good moment of education outside of just the trombone for this one. So, all right, Hallelujah is next. Tsunami positions. I recorded this piece on that album as well, and it was a commission project designed really to build some repertoire, some pieces for groups like this. A lot of times, There's an international trombone festival, and there's an international trombone association. And they'll put competition pieces out and new stuff, but it's designed for trombone choirs at like North Texas that have 500 music majors there, and they have 7 graduate students and 2 undergraduate students in the trombone ensemble. You know, I mean, that's the one that puts things forth for the competition. So my colleague, who is now at Bowling Green State, teaching trombone, he was at UNC Charlotte at the time, we put together a project and commissioned some composers to write works for trombone choir, new things that were fun and exciting to play, but that didn't require you already have a master's degree in trombone to be competent enough technically on the instrument to make it happen. So there's a lot of stuff going on in this piece. This piece is a longer one. It's the longest piece on the program. There's a lot of different things. David Wilborn teaches at the University of Texas A&M, and he has written a lot of different trombone choir things, a lot of kind of exciting stuff, and I think he does a great job with this one. It's designed, it's called Tsunami. It's designed to feel like there's a little Polynesian element, and then some ruckus happens, and then there's aftermath of dealing with the tsunami. So I hope you kind of get the storyline of that piece, but before we dig into this one, I do want to say a sincere thank you to all you parents. I don't know if we have any other band directors out here today, but there's a lot of work that goes on day in, day out, so I get to have kind of a fun weekend with these kiddos, so props to you, you're doing a great job, and encouraging them and providing them additional opportunities. So I'd like again to do a show of hands. How many of you, is this your first year doing the youth trombone choir? It's your first year. Year 1. Awesome. Awesome. Welcome. How many of you is this year 2? This is year 2? Yeah, good. Good. How many of you is this year 3? This is year 3. Yep. Awesome. Awesome. Yep. And how many of you is year 4? They've done it all years in high school. Yeah. Wait, hang on. Senior, you made the senior all-state band. Keep your hand up. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. So that's good stuff. And just because he's on the stage, how many of you have done this for 5 years? Will you were a senior, the inaugural one? Was that right? Yeah, he was a senior in high school for the inaugural one. And then I made him come back as a student worker like every time. And we had an open bass trombone spot this time instead of fill in on. So it was good stuff. So a lot of great things. If I talk long enough to give you guys enough job break, I could probably wax poetic a few more about some other stuff. You want to keep talking? Noah's got to play first on this last one. He's got to play all the top now. So yeah, just keep going, Mike. The blood will come back to my lips eventually. So listen, I really want to thank you all so much. It's a great time. Thanks for embracing the heat. I thought next year, if we need to, we'll get t-shirts, but we'll also get like Winthrop Select Youth Trombone Choir fans, like a branded fan, so we can all very like Southern style be fanning ourselves with that. But all right, this is the last piece on the program. Thank you all so much for coming out. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Saturday after we experience a little tsunami.